During the last few weeks here in Greece, I took a couple of new instant photos. So we're painting them again. You've seen me do this in a previous video and it was lots of fun. And there's still this other empty page in my sketchbook. So let's do it. A main difference this time was that I actually knew I was going to paint some of those later. And while that didn't really change the type of pictures I took, I made sure to capture enough photos in portrait orientation, so they'd fit nicely on the page and I would have a selection to choose from. A lot of these feature the ocean or the sky, and I'm all for the Mediterranean vibes this time. Again, I'm starting by taping off my squares and painting the frame in white to set it up from the white of the paper a bit. Then I continue with the graphite sketches to paint over later. This time around they are really simple and don't look like much. And if you didn't have the reference photo next to it, you wouldn't even recognize some of them. But they help me get the placement right and get a feel for the subject. I didn't spend more than 1 or 2 minutes per sketch, if even that. I'm using acrylic gouache and 2 brushes only, and try not to take too much time for painting. This is supposed to be quick, fun and imperfect practice. Here you can see me comparing my photos to my swatches, to determine which colors to use. I tend to struggle with blues a lot. There are so many hues and temperatures, and I deliberately chose photos with different shades of blues in the skies and the water. This lets me study them and hopefully I'll get a better grasp of them. I'm painting all the skies first. Ultramarine Deep turns out to be a good fit. And it's actually so helpful to be able to hold the reference photo next to the color I'm mixing. I grayed the color out in some areas where the sky was more subtle and really pushed the color in those bright pictures. I also experimented with water remixes to push the sky back further and help me achieve some clouds. Now for the water. I'm choosing a navy blue, which is a cooler blue, in contrast to the warm blue of the ultramarine of the sky. But I balance it out with a bit of cobalt blue. And then I mixed a bit of the sky color into the lighter areas, because those are reflecting most of the sky. Sounds logical to me. My mix still ended up being too cool, but I like the look of it still. Also, I got carried away a bit with painting the water there, which is not what I planned, but it's always a good idea to follow the curiosity, isn't it? Then for the blue of the train I introduced another shade of blue, which is cerulean blue. To emphasize, this is the only human-made blue in all of the paintings on this page. So I ended up using all 4 blues my palette has to offer. So much to keep it simple, right? After all, this is a challenge to paint small and quick, not a limited color palette challenge. I might do one of those in the future. Basically, I'm jumping all around the paintings to work on other areas while others dry. That's a bit different from my first video on this, where I mostly did one painting at a time. But this time I'm trying to see how it all connects and how I can make most of the mixes on my palette. Personally, I find painting small very hard, especially the more details there are. To be honest here, I don't love all of those, but that's all part of the learning process. I could have spent the same time, or probably longer, painting one of those photos in large on this page, and probably would have been a lot happier with the result, because I'd have all the time and space to put in all the details. But I think I wouldn't have progressed as much. This way I have painted 6 small paintings, and thus I've painted lots of different compositions, topics, textures and levels of detail. Especially in terms of mixing colors and learning to simplify things, this exercise helps me a lot. Now, to solidify the spread a bit, I added a simple drop shadow with watercolor to all the paintings, so they separate better from the background and look a bit more cohesive. The vibe of the 2 pages is totally different, and I like that very much. Such a wonderful way to keep memories. If my first video on this topic hasn't inspired you enough already, I hope this one does. And if you haven't checked out part 1 of this series, you really should. It's the video where I go more into the principles behind this art practice. And if you'd like to support my small channel, I'd really appreciate a like, a comment, or subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!